I went from being an immigrant in Canada, studying kinesiology in my first year of university and a future supposed to be doctor, to being an entrepreneur in the financial industry, having a successful business, being my own boss for 3 years, and at the peak of my success, guess what? I left it all behind in the beginning of 2023. Now, shall we get into the story side of things? When I initially moved here, I was about 18 years old. I moved here with my dad, so it was not so easy to keep my mind off of my mom and all the relatives that I had to leave behind back home. If you don't know, when I say back home, what I exactly mean, well, yes, I'm in Iran, I'm Persian, if you can't tell already. The first few years were the hardest. I remember the first time I got on a bus and I got lost while I was trying to get onto this community activity that I signed up for, and that was happening at a library. And of course, I only signed up for these activities for me to actually be forced to speak English so I could improve my English, because I sucked in the beginning. I could understand a lot though, which was good, but I could not speak good for the sake of me. Then I got a job at a cafe, which was good though because it actually started making me feel more confident and more independent, having to spend all those 17 years of my life and having my parents to take me everywhere I wanted to go, like to the movies, to the shopping malls, to even a superstore. And I don't really blame them because I know how things are, and a lot of people know how things are back home in Iran. And being the only daughter that they had, I understood that they just didn't feel safe enough for me to go out on my own all the time. But now, I finally tasted some freedom and it tasted good. 2.5 years later, I actually got an opportunity to work in the financial industry, get my licenses, and learn some things about money and taxes, etc. that I had no clue about. Being the person I've always been a very curious person. So if an opportunity would cross my path, and I would see it as a beneficial thing for me to take on, I would take it on without having to blink twice. That year, which would have been 2018, I was in my first year of uni. I had a part-time job working at a restaurant as a takeout girl, and I was studying for these 2 licenses that I needed in order for me to serve my future clients with investment and insurance products. And looking back at it, I still wonder how I did all of that at once. I still even go to the gym, learn how to play piano, have fun, go out, be out and about, and I can't do even 3 things at the same time now. So that was the younger me, I guess, when I was 19 years old. But going back to what I was saying, I remember being the only person that was actually excited when the instructor was teaching all these new lessons and all these chapters. I would look around and I would see everybody like falling asleep, being tired, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm the only one. And I already did say that when it comes to being, when it comes to learning new things, I can be a very enthusiastic person, didn't I? Fast forward, I got my licenses, I started to gain a fair clientele, and I was like, this is it, I'm gonna quit my job today. Well, that wasn't the only reason why I left. I also felt really disrespected by one of the managers at the restaurant. He was kind of new too. I remember one day I went to the restaurant to, start my shift, and I saw this new girl that was being, trained how to serve on the floor. And I was so surprised because she was the same girl that I actually trained for takeout. And I remember how many times I told them that, hey, I want to be a server as well. I want to become a server as well. But they didn't really let me because they said that, oh, you're good at takeout, we need someone fast and good, and we know that you want to be a server, and we know you're going to be good at it, but right now we need you to takeout. So I was like, whatever about it for a long time, but as soon as that day came and I saw this girl getting trained, I'm like, okay, this is it, no way, I'm quitting. Now, was that the best decision I have ever made? No, far from it. Did I also mention that that was the same year that I actually dropped out of university after I finished my 2nd semester? I did drop out, not because of my business though, but because I realized the type of career I was pursuing wasn't going to give me the type of lifestyle I wanted, the type of freedom I wanted, or all the financial goals that I really wanted to achieve. And I've always been a big dreamer, but I've also been the type that is willing to put in the work for what she desires. I also was advised that in order for you to build a successful business, you cannot do it part-time, you have to go all in. So I did it, ladies and gentlemen. I quit my job and I went all in. I forget about school and I went all in. And that was the worst advice I could have ever received. Why? Well, business was being slow. I didn't have enough money for me to pay the bills that I had. I didn't have enough money for the transportation that I needed to pay for me to get to the office, back and forth, food, etc. Around 4 to 6 months after not having a job, I realized that I need to make money like right now. So I did go back to a job. I got a job at a fitness studio, and that's exactly around the time that things got really, really tough. I was working sometimes from 5:30 a.m. in the morning to 12 to 2 p.m. at the studio, and then right after I would go to the office so I can actually book my meetings, take care of clients, prospect, run interviews for the new agents that I was willing to train, etc. And sometimes all these, bus rides could be very, very long, like 2 hours and a half going there, 2 hours and a half coming back. It was just a lot of time. And yes, I was on that hustle mode, but was I doing the right thing or not? We will leave that to the end of the story. 2019 got. I feel like it sounds like a host show sometimes. Be more natural. Okay. 2019, it got even tougher. I was feeling more drained. I was feeling depressed, being at the studio all day, every day. I just felt like I wasn't being productive because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, how much was I really making? All of that work for like $120 a day, maybe, it just sucked. I started feeling even more worse, and I kept asking my manager to give me some time off so I could actually go back home, visit my family for a bit. I think around that time was around at least about 2 years that I haven't seen my family. My mom just had, my baby brother, and he was already, growing up. He wasn't even a year old, and I was already missing out on all of these things, so that put even more pressure on me. It got to a point where I was like, okay, well, they're not letting me go anyway. I'm just getting my ticket. I can always get a job. I'm going to get my ticket and I'm going to go. So that's what I did. I got my ticket for a 20-day short trip to Iran, and I came up with an excuse that, my mom's feeling sick and I have to go visit. I mean, they didn't really leave me with any choice to begin with anyways, so I did what I had to. It was such a needed trip for me though. It changed my perspective. When I was back home, I actually got paid because my business was still running, and I was like, this is it. This is what I want. I want to be able to get paid while I'm having, my time to spend with my family, my loved ones, travel, do the things that I enjoy doing. And I was like, this is what I want to do. So I promised myself that I'm going to come back, I'm going to work harder, and I'm going to make this happen. And so did I. I came back, I quit my job, I went all in, and I got my, promotion within the first month. I came back in my company, all was going well, and I was finally very happy. End of 2019 was actually the same year that I also met my partner. We've been together for 3 years and a half now, which it's kind of crazy to believe, but you guys will get to know about him eventually anyways. I'm gonna get back to the story. So things kept getting better. I finally, moved out. I got my own car. My income kept increasing. I got recognitions after recognitions, promotions after promotions. What else did I want, right? Did I mention that in order for me to get all of these things, I had to sacrifice a lot. I had to sacrifice all this time that I could have spent with my family, with my friends, traveling, doing the fun things all 20-year-olds would do, right? Yet, I wasn't happy. I started feeling really neutral about the things that was happening in my life, and I started really doubting, becoming really doubtful, and I kept thinking am I going to ever become happy again? Am I going to become ever healthy again? Yeah. While I was trying to build that successful business for myself, I completely lost sight of my health, my happiness, sometimes even my family, my friends, and I was always anxious. I was always stressed. I was always unhappy, tense. I was frustrated, and I don't know how much you know about it, but when it comes to the financial industry, it can be a very stressful industry. Especially clients could be very demanding at times, because to think about it, what do most people worry about the most of the times? Money, right? So of course it can be very stressful at times, and it's definitely not for everybody. My health kept declining. I was stressed all the time. I was snappy. I became bitter. I was in severe pain. I had, because of the chronic stress that I had and all these hormonal imbalances that I was experiencing. And if you didn't know, too much stress can really affect your gut and your digestion. And then eventually what would happen, it affects your hormones if you didn't know. And then you start getting things like acne, you start losing hair, you start gaining weight, you start getting some sensitivity to certain foods, and you start being bloated all the time, exhausted all the time. Do I need to go on? Anyways, we will get to some of the tips that I have about this that I could give you guys later on in next videos. But getting back to the story, when my mom decided to visit me this summer last year, I got to take a 2-month break finally after a very, very long time, and it was like magic for me. My health started getting better. I started not being so stressed as I used to be before. I started taking care of myself, my health, my family, my relationship. And I started getting to this aha moment that how come when I'm working, when I'm in my business, running my business every day, I'm not this happy? How come I'm not as healthy as I am when I'm running the business? How come, it was almost like my body was rejecting that environment, that business, and those people. And is this going to be my aha moment or not? Well, not yet. In December, it was about almost 3 months that I was back into the business, and things started declining again. Like my health started declining again, and I wasn't feeling good again. And I'm like, okay, my body's trying to tell me something. And it got to a point where I was like, you know what? I don't know what the heck I'm gonna do with my life anymore, but I just know that I don't want to do this anymore. So I stepped out, and it's not like I'm completely done with it. I still hold my investment license. I still help clients here and there, but like I'm not chasing clients. I'm not going after clients. I'm not doing all the things that I used to do on every day that became really draining for me, and I wasn't enjoying it anymore. It's been about 6 months now that I left that business for good, and let me tell you this, I feel better. I feel healthier. I feel happier. I started losing the weight that I was, very like my body was holding on to for a long time. My bloatings got better. My digestion got better. My skin, my hair, my energy, and I started really becoming excited as little kids get excited for an ice cream you would give them. When it gets to this point, people would ask, so what happened to you? Why didn't it work out for you? Should you go back to the job? Does this mean that entrepreneurship is not for you? No. It didn't work out for me because I didn't choose the right industry. I didn't choose the right business for who I am and who I want to become. It was almost like deep down, I wasn't being completely true to myself and who I was. It was almost like I was pretending to be this other person that actually was loving what she was doing. Not intentionally, but unintentionally. And I was doing that because I felt like by being completely myself, I wasn't going to fit in, or I wasn't going to be accepted in that environment, in that group, in that, I guess, workspace. But I realized, hey, I'm not supposed to fit in. I'm not supposed to pretend to be somebody who I'm not. And ever since I left, I actually worked on my relationship with God a lot since the beginning of 2023. To tell you the outcome of it, I feel very peaceful. I've never felt this peaceful while things not going, the way I want them to go. I've never been this happy. I've never had such strong faith before that no matter what, things are going to work out, because they have always tend to work out, even though maybe in that moment I wasn't just seeing it the way I should have. I realized that for me, it's just not worth it to sacrifice my health, my happiness, or peace for anything. And right now I'm on a journey to figure out the type of person I want to become, what kind of life I want to create, and what kind of influence or impact I really want to behind as my legacy. My advice to you is, stop trying to be who you are not meant to be. Stop ignoring your intuition when it's telling you something feels fishy. Start working on your faith and develop the right mindset that you would need in order for you to create the type of life you want to create. And I repeat again, the type of life you want, not what your uncle wants, your auntie wants, your dad wants, your mom wants. No, what you want. Because at the end of the day, no matter what goes wrong, what happens, you will never feel unhappy and miserable ever again. Now that we are at the end of the story, and obviously it was a happy ending story, make sure you subscribe and make sure you follow along the journey so I can actually teach you a thing or two about how you can get these spark back into your life that you once had.